This is a show that's called Untethered, and it's about personal freedoms and your sense of being tethered or untethered. And the show is called Untethered. So I've often worked with lines between things. They're either ropes or they're a symbol for something. So there's women twirling and ropes between animals and people and objects. There's often either singular or duplicitous figures in there and animals. And they work together as a wall of paintings, or they can stand on their own. When I work in the studio, I'll have them up. As I paint, I'll have them on a big wall and I'll move them around until they kind of connect to each other. So when you look at the wall, it shows people facing each other or pulling something or walking away with a rope. And then these are all 2 feet by 2 feet. They're all oils on linen. They are people and animals that I know. So it's has some significance to me. I also want them to be open for interpretation, of course. And then the titles give you a clue also. Sometimes I work really big, and I work in large diptychs. Again, it's the figures, the horses, the tethering or the untethering. And most of this work is new. Last winter, I just started painting like crazy. When they invited me to show here, I said, okay, I think I'm ready. And then we pieced them together a little more. So the buildings that come through are actually in Wisconsin. There's a building that was torn down.
I wondered because I saw it's the merry-go-round from Cloverland, which is
this?
still there, but I don't know if I remember the building.
It was wonderful. We used to go inside. And in the past, I had done a series called No Trespassing, so I used to like to trespass. And this was an old schoolhouse, and then it was a town hall. And I have so many photos from that. And then I'm in love with the swing, so I'm glad they kept it. I think the swing probably held 30 kids, and they probably all at recess sat on that and then spun it.
Like this, because I can see.
And the name of the company is still on that swing, so I'm glad they preserved that. Children sitting on there, like 32 kids and the teacher over there. It's cool. This was a great opening because my family has a chocolate store, and I made chocolate squirrels, and they were all lined up here with plates of candy around them. So it was very conversational, and people were munching and then looking at the art. It was really fun. To Provincetown, and I've got a big press that I've rented with a friend for six days of working. And these are some things I learned from some printmakers that are pretty well known there, and Vicky Tamako. And she says to run your print through many times. You don't have to fuss and be perfect as a printmaker. And there's also many different methods. So this is silk screen, paper plate lithography, paper glued on, and some monotype stuff.
So you have very distinct style. Like when I see your work other places, you know it's you.
Yes.
Did it take you a long time to find your style, or do you feel like it was just kind of there?
I think it was there. I was in Provincetown in the 80s, and there's big influence from that area where people lay on the paint pretty thick. So my paintings used to be a little thicker. They float colors with extra mediums and oils so they stay cleaner. So I'm not like a muddy oil painter, I'm very clean. You know, I've been painting and drawing for so long that I can't tell when this style started, but I think it's always kind of been there. I've always liked the figure. The animals came later. A friend of mine, Ann Lansman, at an artist residency, I went to Yaddo, I was pulled out of the woods to go to this really fancy upstate New York. But she introduced me to the horses there. There was a horse track and there was an animal show. And then I kind of fell in love with her writing and her books and her love of animals. The animals it's more about their physique and their gesture. So that's what I like. These are animals that I've rather carefully picked out the best photos. I like the shadows, I like the gesture of an animal. And I also like, it's a little bit of humor, but the animals with coats on. And then sometimes the figures will have a little dress up thing too going on.
And your colors too are very distinct, you know.
Yes, I've been a little darker in the past, but this is especially because of certain paint colors that I feel are really great lately that have come up and out. I used to use transparent paints and some golds even, but basically bright and either thick or transparent. You can also see the paint stick in there, and sometimes a little ray of a bolt of, I call this my lightning, like a bolt of color to outline an image and make it pop out. When I paint, I prepare my canvases. I stretch my own canvases. I use linen, and I'll prepare them with color first, so I'm not blocked by a white canvas, and it helps me to get going. So I'll often put a blotch of color right on the canvas before I start, and that will influence what I'm putting on there.
Any other kind of tips or advice for people maybe who are getting into oils or?
Well, I think you really have to learn about your medium and understand how it works, and then work on a body of work because it'll help you. Don't jump all over the place, because I think once you start with your ideas and you experience that flow and the way your mind connects, it becomes much better and more exciting. And I'm not afraid to just paint what I want to paint. I don't paint for the market. I just try to paint what really interests me and what I think is working visually. So who knows what's next, but I will keep going. It might change a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, but yeah, it's in my thoughts all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you determine when a painting is finished?
Somehow through the years of painting, and even right away, you just know it, and you sometimes don't know it, but I think I just stand back and stare and look, and I'll know when I'm in that place where everything's just right. And my paintings look loose and casual, but they're very carefully done, even though they look a little sloppy and dripping. I'll know when they're just right by looking at the paint surface and the content and the meaning. And if they're overdone or they look phony, I just don't want it out there. So I know when I've gone too far, just through years of painting. Yeah, I've also learned early on from, I don't know who, but the idea that you call your work carefully. You don't let anything stay that you don't like or that doesn't fit the kind of internal requirements that you have for a good painting. And sometimes I get complicated in a painting, and sometimes it's so simple I can't believe it. And I feel that they're just right. My wall with them put together seems right. I would never go back in. There's a thing with the ladies too, I call them ladies or women. They're wearing vintage clothes, or one of these women was at the Smelt Festival. Have you ever been to that in Duluth?
I have not, but I know
it's
of it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So this woman had a silver dress on, and she had this kind of really short haircut, so she was kind of a combination male, female, and I like the play of gender and punching and doing vigorous things where you're in this goofy dress, and that just makes me laugh a little bit. So they do all look very industrious, like they're working on something. Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Thank
talking
you.
through